One. Here we are. What is this, episode 6 now or something like that?
6.
Episode 6
yeah.
of the Guys podcast. Not a lot to talk about this week, but I just wanted to get started. COVID-19 update. This morning, Governor Cuomo of New York just announced that all schools are going to be closed for the rest of the academic school year. Me being in New York, I'm not going to be able to go to school. Finish out my junior year. I'm going to finish it online. Any thoughts on that?
I think it's about what we expect at this point. We're just kind of
Yeah.
expecting everything to close down and reopen whenever it is, next fall, next to winter, and just hope that next time we'll be more prepared for it when it comes down next year. So
Interesting point on that. I saw the NFL say something like that if college football decides to suspend, they're going to look at putting games on Saturday, which I'd be totally in favor of. I wish they would have done that years
football
ago.
all weekend. Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
take
they
some of the
usually do
warm
Thursday night specials on a Saturday, right? They do towards the end
Yeah.
of the season, they usually do.
Yeah.
Why don't they do that all year? I don't get it.
yeah.
I know, right?
Football dominates Saturdays too. It's
It's really just because of college football. Yeah.
Jordan, you also said there's an MLB thing, right?
Yeah, so I don't know the entire details of it, but it was something along the lines of obviously a shortened season that would start sometime in July, and it would consist of 6 divisions, I think, and you would the divisions are really weird. We were with the Yankees, which isn't weird, but the Yankees, the Pirates, the Mets, it was actually categorized for where you play, so to limit travel, I think is what the thought process was. And it would be 2 or 3 teams out of the division would make the playoffs. It was really weird. I don't know if it was neutral sites or it was your stage gonna play at your actual stadium with no fans. I know it was no fans whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming that you'd probably play at your home stadium, which would be kind of cool. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's what I saw. I've heard that it's gained traction, but I've also heard that in the past people say that we're close to a deal or a plan to be in place, and then it blows up in their face. So I'm not really taking anything for granted or anything they say, but I mean, it's interesting to watch. It'll be something to maybe watch for in the next month or so.
I could definitely get behind that. Yeah.
I was reading that that article. I'm pretty sure it was 3 divisions: the East, the West, and I don't know, maybe it was the Central, and then 10 teams in each division. As far as bizarre, Red Sox, Yankees, Mets, Rays, Orioles, Marlins, Pirates, Phillies, Nationals. And the scary thing is I don't think we make it out of that alive. So please, Central. We're not making it past them right now. The Nationals, Yankees, Mets, even the Rays are a very good squad. So I hope we don't go to that. But there is a positive. The Dodgers and Astros will be playing each other. Quite a lot. They'll both be in the West. Oh, that'd be baseball. I'd watch every single game.
I saw something else that I don't know if you guys follow Red Sox stats on Twitter, but he did a wins above replacement for all the teams, projected wins above replacement for every team in every division, and we actually finished we would squeak into the playoffs if it went how they projected it, which I don't think we'd make the playoffs, but it's interesting to see how it would be cool because I think we play the Yankees a ton of times, which would be sick. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk some Patriots news here. We've got last time we filmed was only the first round of the draft was completed. Now we have the rest. How do you guys feel about this draft class? Especially that second round pick.
Yeah.
No one really knows what that.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I heard when it first happened, I was kind of what the hell are we doing? Because it was a D2 player, and your first thoughts I don't know. There's so many other guys that we could have gone after. But then I heard that the Bills now recently the Bills we're looking at to draft him at 52 or 56. So he obviously was on other guys' radars, and I guess he had one of the best combines, and he's just a freak athlete. So it seems kind of right up Belichick's wheelhouse, this guy who's just a great athlete who maybe just started football recently, and all of a sudden he comes in and dominates. I don't know. That's kind of the story. Yeah, that's the story I'm thinking of. But I don't know. There was a couple of guys on the board that I wish we would have taken, but I can't. I mean, different because, like, I guess overall with second round picks, we don't draft very well, but I can't knock Belichick for much just because of what he's done for the 20 years he's been here. And every time he gets knocked for something, it ends up working out. So we'll see. I hope it works out, definitely.
Here's my thought. I think it was the Colts, the Lions, and the Giants that had the 3 picks before us. I think the Giants. Who picked first? I think the Lions selected a running back. I thought at this point Xavier McKinley from Alabama was still on the board. And we know Bill Belichick loves his Alabama players, and so I was worried about the Giants and the Lions taking him. Lions don't take him. The Colts don't take him. The Giants take him the pick before. And my initial process was, all right, Belichick freaked out. He wasn't expecting McKinley to go right before. And then he just chose a random guy. I mean, that was kind of stupid because I was kind of mad at the time that we selected a D2 player. But, you know, Labs and them did their research, and he ended up being a really good athlete. I think, like, the longest wingspan in the draft class or something like that. Like, a bunch of just, like, freakishly he's just a freak athlete. I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to surprise a lot of people. Like you said, might have been one of those guys who didn't start playing football till later. I mean, look at Larry Allen, the guard for the Cowboys in the 90s, the Great Wall of Dallas. He didn't start playing football until his junior year of high school, and he became one of the greatest offensive linemen ever.
Right. I think it's a classic, like, Belichick pick. And I also remember that guy a few years ago, Obi Melifonwu or whatever, the Raiders took. We actually had him on the roster. And we released him, I think, either after the draft or ahead of the draft. But, like, Kyle Duggar is also, like, a really physically gifted guy. So I think, obviously, the appeal's there and the potential. Maybe that, Obi Melifonwu couldn't exactly learn the system, or, like, maybe he just wasn't that good. But the potential's there with these great athletes. And, Belichick, a D2 guy, someone who's, like, not necessarily known by a lot of fans and by the general public. I think that's a classic Belichickian pick. So, I'm happy with it. Overall, and it addresses a need that we have. Patrick Chung's getting old. He's probably on the way out. We might get rid of him this offseason. So I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
This is scouting report. I have it up on my phone right now. Duggar was a Division II star for Lenore Ryan, a hyper-athletic defensive talent who occasionally overwhelmed the competition. He won the Cliff Harris Award given to the best defensive player in NCAA Division II and impressed at the Senior Bowl and the Combine, causing a spike in his overall draft stock. And apparently we had this guy rated over Xavier McKinney of Alabama, so maybe it wouldn't have even mattered that McKinney went immediately before. Maybe this guy's the real deal. And again, no one really knows what Bill Belichick is thinking. No one knows who these guys are, but, I mean, who knows? This guy could be a Devin McCourty clone.
Yeah, it's interesting too because to what Anthony said. So we talked about last week when we traded our first round pick. We were kind of going over the reasons why, and one of the reasons was were we planning on taking Justin Jefferson, and then all of a sudden he got taken, and Belichick kind of got thrown for a loop and didn't know what to do. So it's interesting if that same thing happened with McKinley, like if he was expecting McKinley to be there, and that's why he traded back, and then he gets taken again, and now he's had 2 picks in a row where the guy he wanted ended up getting snatched up right before him. But I like you guys have said, looking into his combine and stuff like that, he's definitely like a freak athlete. He definitely can help us at safety. And I was looking at his projected, because when he first got taken, I was like, why didn't we take him later? Like, he's a D2. Like, no, he wasn't on anyone's radar, was he? And he actually was projected by a couple of combine scouts to be in the second round. I think it was like mid to late, but I mean, if you don't want to risk it, you might as well take him when you have one. So it was definitely a surprising pick. I didn't expect to hear his name out of the like 5 or 6 I had in my head, but like you said, it's a Belichick pick if we've ever seen one.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we drafted 2 tight ends, I believe, in the 3rd and 4th round with back-to-back picks. I'm excited for this because, first off, I think one of them, I can't remember both of their names. One of them they said was going to be like the next George Kittle or something like that. And my brother being a big Niners guy, I know all about George Kittle. And the last time we had 2 rookie tight ends on the roster at the same time was 10 years ago. We had Gronk and Hernandez.
Yeah.
Granted, both went in completely opposite directions. I think the potential is there. And I feel like if Belichick does the right thing again with these two, we can have the same thing, but obviously be better. Granted that one of them doesn't kill somebody.
It's so it's Dalton Keene and Devin Asasi.
I don't know how to say it.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I saw people say that like one mirrors Gronk and one mirrors Hernandez, like their play style. So I'm assuming one's like bigger than the other and just like overpowers, and one's a little bit faster. So it's kind of cool. I'd like to see us go back to the double tight end formations because that obviously worked out, and it's going to be so much different. Like seeing those two guys on the field compared to last year when we had like, God forbid, like Matt Lacoste going out for a route every 7 or 8 plays. Like we're actually going to have weapons this year.
Yeah, it definitely addresses
or so we
one of
hope.
our biggest needs.
Not anything set in stone just yet.
Julian Edelman have a 1,000-yard year. Hot take.
They also got some linebackers too in the end of the second round, I think, or was it the third round?
Josh Uche, I can't say his name from Michigan.
From Michigan. So they got Bama guy, which obviously Belichick loves that, but linebackers.
Anthony Simmons is a freak athlete. I am so excited for him to play. I just want to see how we're going to use him. He wasn't a star of Alabama's defense. This is Anthony
Jennings,
Jennings or Simmons.
Yeah,
one of the two. One of the two I just said. I'm pretty sure it's a basketball.
Simmons is Trailblazers.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so Anthony Jennings, he's a freak athlete. I remember him on Alabama. He wasn't featured. He wasn't one of the guys you'd see every snap like Xavier McKinney. But long reach, from what I was reading, is getting for. He has a long reach and is able to disrupt the passing game just because of his long reach. You know, like pile driving lineman, very strong. He's very agile. I want to see this kid play more than any other draft pick we have.
I think this draft class is very exciting. Like all these young guys, you know, obviously might not make the playoffs, might not be like what we're used to, but I'm more excited for this upcoming season than I was this past season, to be honest. Like, you know, it's the first time in a while that it's a breath of fresh air, even if it's not going to be like a winning season or something. You know, you get to see these young guys develop. It's kind of like I had the same feeling with the Celtics a few years back, kind of when we weren't in like contention, but we had young guys, we were building and everything. So, I mean, especially with you know, Belichick, he tends to find diamonds in the rough. There's a lot of these guys that we could just see and they could make a huge impact right away, or like just watching any of these guys develop alongside Stidham and having like a young team for the first time and, you know, quite a long time is very exciting, at least for me.
Yeah.
So,
and it's interesting because like this is really the first time in 20 years where we're going into the season with pretty low expectations. So I think that's what makes it intriguing because now every win is going to be that much better. You know, I think every Patriots fan would say for the past 20 years that a regular season win was kind of expected. There was maybe 2 or 3 teams in the entire NFL that you would maybe expect to lose to, or maybe that you'd be like, you know what, it was a tough game, you know, whatever, shake it off. It's just one. But nearly every division game for the past 20 years was, you know, you're going in there thinking you were going to win. Maybe, like I said, 2 to 3 teams in the entire NFL that you didn't think you were going to beat. But now it's going to be a week-to-week thing where maybe there's, you know, 4 to 5 teams on our schedule that we know we're going to beat and that we should beat. But the rest of the, you know, 10 or so teams are going to be a huge challenge. And so it's going to really make every regular season game feel like almost like a playoff game that we haven't felt in a while, which is going to be great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a great point, actually. Like, I think about how, like, every year the past couple of seasons has been like, all right, if we lose this game, like, you know, it's going to be a disappointment. Like, it's not going to be something like, you know, that's expected. And definitely, like, something I've taken for granted is, you know, with the exception of, I think, teams like, even like the Broncos, you know, when they were like nasty back when they won in 2015, you know, you go into that game, you're like 10-0 or whatever, and you're like, you know, it's going to be a tough game. We expect to win. And now, you know, you don't, I know it's a tough game to bring up, but we don't like, it's going to be weird not having that for the first time, you know, in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
Fucking Brock Osweiler beat us. That never is going to sit right with me. We lost to Brock Osweiler.
I'm excited to see how this defense builds the next 2 years because, especially this front seven. I mean, we have Josh Uche. I'm definitely butchering his name once again.
I think it's Uche.
It's Uche. All right.
Yeah.
Josh Uche.
I don't know if it is. I think it is though.
Um, he's reuniting with his Michigan teammate Chase Winovich. You got Jawan Bentley. I mean, of course, Dante Hightower is still there. So I think after for this next year, we're going to be running a 3-4 package, especially with this other Alabama guy coming in. I think Dante Hightower will be out of here within the next 2 years, maybe after this season, maybe with the young core coming in. Because even since he came in, Dante Hightower has had that trouble in man coverage and covering man to man, covering over the middle. I think he got completely burnt. I forget who he got burnt by against the in the Cleveland game this past year. It was like, Jesus Christ, we would have blown these guys out. They wouldn't have scored a touchdown on us if Hightower didn't blow that coverage. I mean, I get it happens, but it's just been a consistent problem with him. I can see him being out within the next year. Having the young guys take over, Jawan Bentley, Chase Winovich. I'm really excited to watch those two guys. And like you said, it's going to be different. It's a breath of fresh air. I mean, there's no Tom Brady. I mean, I don't know the last time I watched a Patriot game without Tom Brady, besides maybe a Week 17 game where we already clinched the first seed in the playoffs, and we were starting our backups just to keep all our starters healthy. It's going to be really exciting this year.
Yeah, to your Hightower point, I've seen a lot of people, at least in the recent after the draft, considering our linebacker core is kind of crowded now. Because I guess he's like a 12 or 13 million. He's right around Joe Tooney's cap hit. So a lot of people are saying just move him, keep the O-line together. I mean, now you've got a young core at the O-line for the next couple of years. But the one thing I would say about keeping Hightower is because he gives sort of a veteran presence that we'd be missing, like a big piece of it we'd be missing from that defense, especially in the linebacking core. You have all these linebackers you just drafted, like Jennings and Uche, and you want to give them something to look for in like a veteran leadership and someone who's been to the Super Bowl multiple times and who's led the Patriots defense for years, and kind of be like, this is what you want to become. I mean, if either of those two become Hightower,